So now that we've finished our eyes, we're going to start on the nose. And the nose is, for the most part, all about shading and really observing the specific shading on your partner's face. So we're going to start with the bridge of the nose, which is the upper part, kind of right below the eyebrows and inside the eyes. And you're going to really observe where are these shadows on your partner's face that define the bridge of the nose. They usually start out right underneath the eyebrows, and they come in a little bit and then kind of come down underneath the eyes. It's very subtle shading, it's not very dark. And this shading here will define the shape of that top bridge of the nose where it comes up to meet your eyebrows. So take a minute and look at your partner's face, check out where you see these shadows that define this top part of the nose right here. And remember to use your careful shading as you shade that in using tiny pencil motions. We're not shading all the way down yet. I actually find that usually there's not a whole lot of shading along this bottom middle part of the nose. Most of the shading is up around the bridge. After you finish that part of the shading, we're going to move down and do the bottom of the nose. And we're going to start by putting in the outer edges of the nostrils to figure out how wide the nose needs to be. And so those outer edges of the nostrils usually line up straight down from the inside corners of the eyes. And I'm going to put in the shape of the outer edge of my nostrils like this, straight down from those inside corners of the eyes. Now you should use comparative measuring with your pencil to see if your partner's nose actually does line up with those inside corners, because depending on the size of their nose, it may be just a little bit wider or it may be just a little bit narrower. So do that comparative measuring now and figure out where your partner's outer edges of the nostrils are. And then once you've got those in, we're going to draw in the middle bridge of the nose and the nostrils themselves. So if you haven't already, you can go ahead and erase the little measurement line that you made for the bottom of the nose. And instead, we're going to put in this little curved shape, which is that space in between your nostrils. And then we're going to put in the shape of the nostrils themselves. Now, everybody has different shaped nostrils. Some people's are a little bit more circular, but for the most part, based on the angle that you're seeing the nostrils at, they tend to be more of these kind of slanted, oval, almost teardrop shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and shade my nostrils in. The nostrils are actually one of the darkest parts of the face, so I'm going to shade them in pretty much pure black, not pressing too hard, but shading them all the way in. They're really the only dark part of the entire nose. Then once I've got my nostrils drawn in and my bridge of the nose drawn in down here, the little bottom area in between the nostrils, I'm going to go ahead and add some shading to define this part of the nose. Now my nose kind of has a little like half sphere, a little circular ball on the end. I have sort of a round bottom part of my nose. So I'm noticing that the shading on my nose kind of looks like this to define the roundness. And then I also notice there's a little bit of shading defining the nostrils. There's a little bit of shading defining this round part on the top, not too much. And then based on what direction the light's coming from, there's a little bit of extra shading on this side of the nose coming down here. Depending on where the light is hitting your partner, if it's coming in from this direction or if it's coming in from this direction, one side of the nose is probably going to be darker than the other side. So see what angle the light's hitting your partner at and shade that side in a little bit. And then usually this part right here underneath the nostrils is a little bit more of a dark shadow because it's actually kind of more facing downwards. It's the underneath part of the nose, so not a lot of light is hitting that part. It should be pretty much in shadow. And then I'm also going to shade out around these nostrils. There's usually a little bit of shadow coming out from these to define the edge of the cheeks. So I'm going to add just a little bit of shading in there, coming out from the nostrils. And there we have my nose. I know that was a lot of shading and it's going to take a lot of individual observation of your partner, so feel free to go back and replay this a few times and really take your time observing your partner's individual shading and shadows that are happening on their face.